Since Kylian Mbappé left PSG, the French side are flying and are now favourites to win this season's Champions League. Real Madrid, on the other hand, were knocked out in the quarter-finals and currently trail 4 points in La Liga with Barcelona leading. So how on earth has this all happened in Mbappe's first season since the big transfer? Hello and welcome back to INMR, where today I'm going to be finding out if Kylian Mbappé is the problem. Does he make his teammates worse? And is his departure from PSG the reason behind their newfound success in Europe? To find out, keep watching. Real Madrid walked into the second leg of the Champions League quarter-finals fully believing that they could complete the famous remontada against Arsenal at the Bernabeu. Instead, they fizzled out before our very eyes. It was a pathetic attempt, and on the night, Arsenal beat them 2-1. Madrid's only plan was to play crosses into the box, and a lot of them. In total, they registered 33 crosses in that match, and it did not work. The hosts had no target man up front, whilst visitors Arsenal had William Saliba, who made 12 clearances during that game. They had 18 shots that night with an average XG of 0.08. What this showed us is that Madrid was stumped and had no answer for Arsenal. And for PSG, they've been immense without Mbappe, just like Luis Enrique said they would. Enrique said, "I was very brave last season when I told you that we'd have a better team in attack and defence. And I still think we are better. The figures are there to say it." He added that he'd rather have players who all score goals rather than one that gets 40. And as it stands, PSG have created more chances than any other Ligue 1 side in the previous 5 seasons. And in front of goal, PSG have more than made up the numbers. Ousmane Dembélé has 29 goals in all competition, Bradley Barcola's got 16 and Desiree Doué has 8. It's not all about what's happening in attack though. PSG's big improvement this season has been in defence. Last season, with Mbappe as the first line of press, teams easily broke through them. The problem was that Mbappe didn't come to support his side out of possession and didn't press players nearby. He was only interested in using his energy on scoring goals. This season, without Mbappe, PSG have become a much more solid defensive unit and the attackers part of that unit. As a result, they've conceded far fewer shots this season. PSG have conceded 9.5 shots per 90 this season, whereas last season it was 12.1. The bottom line is that PSG are now one of the most aggressive pressing sides in Europe, and it's massively contributing to their success. Against Aston Villa, PSG registered 9 final third regains, their most in a single Champions League match in 3 years. And throughout this entire Champions League campaign, PSG average a final third regain every 16 minutes. The Villa game was also the 5th game in a row where they managed to keep their opponent's pass completion rate to under 80%. Villa completed 217 out of 290 passes in that match, meaning 1 in 4 didn't find a teammate. For PSG, aggression is a plan, not a coincidence. In possession, PSG are fluid with their initial 4-3-3 shape. With their frequent movements and rotations, they dominate the ball and territory. When the opposition block deepened, PSG convert into a 3-2-5 attacking shape. Dembélé drifts into the inside left channel, working well away from the opposition centre-backs and linking up with left winger Bradley Barcola. Achraf Hakimi moves forward from right back supporting Kavicha Kvaratskhelia, and those wide pairs attack around Fabian Ruiz, Vitinha and João Neves. And as PSG continue to dominate the ball, Vitinha drops into the back 3 so that Nuno Mendes can push up. Mendes tends to push when PSG have created a lot of successful passes, and with this, the front 5 is created. And with those fullbacks high up, PSG overload defences. The front 3 plus the 2 attacking fullbacks creates that 5 which typically overloads your traditional back 4. When fullbacks push, Vitinha maintains his deeper passing role as part of the back 3. At the other end, PSG's narrow front 3 is supported by the other 2 midfielders who have pushed a little higher. From there, they attempt to combine between the lines and create chances. Now back to Real Madrid. There, the tactics haven't shifted massively, but you can see differences. The unified squad that we saw last season now looks broken on the pitch. The midfield and defence are working hard, but the front line looks static. There's been a few occasions this season for Madrid in both the Champions League and La Liga where I've seen Jude Bellingham screaming at Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. to work harder out of possession. So overall, it's clear that whilst an Mbappe-less PSG have vastly improved, Real Madrid's unit has taken a big hit. The Frenchman's laziness out of possession and lack of off-the-ball runs is costing Real Madrid. One final example that I'll leave you with is Thierry Henry's analysis of Mbappe earlier in the season. The former Arsenal and Barcelona striker analysed Jude Bellingham making runs beyond Mbappe as if he were the 9. These were runs that Mbappe should have been making, but he was too lazy to do it. Mbappe is somewhat selfish if the ball isn't at his feet, and if this aspect of his game doesn't improve, he will be kept waiting for that Champions League trophy. So what do you think? Was Kylian Mbappe the problem at PSG, and is he now having a negative effect at Real Madrid? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. That is where I'm going to end today's podcast, but there are plenty of others that you can go and listen to. For more content, be sure to check out my website, that's inmrfootball.co.uk. On there, you can find match reports, live blogs, club updates, and so much more. And if that's not enough, INMR is also on X and Instagram, so you can follow me on both of those platforms for even more daily football content. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next one.